Hello, this is Aju John Verghese coming to you from Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, where I've been working for the last 9 years, and I am working as the head of in the director's office. And with me is Mrs. Saju, who is the director of Gospel TV UP, and we have a special friend to introduce, Mr. Anirudh, who is doing his PhD program at IIM Bangalore after his B.Tech in IIT Kharagpur and his MBA in IIM Kozhikode. So,
Hi, myself Anirudh. I'm a PhD student in IIM Bangalore in the strategy area. I'm currently in the third year. So I hail from Alapi in Kerala. I've completed my B.Tech and MBA, and I have 7 years work prior to joining the PhD program.
would you like to share something about from where you are coming from?
So I'm from Alapi district of Kerala. So I was born and brought up there. So I finished my 10th and 12th in a school in my neighborhood itself.
So which is the name of that school?
I'm from Cherpushpapatani school,
Okay.
which is in Maveligara.
Mavelikara.
Yes.
So somebody in from that area, and how did you come to know about IIT? Did you come to know about the IIT JEE exam? How did it happen?
So from childhood, my parents was very keen to get me into engineering.
Okay.
And I was decently proficient in mathematics and allied sciences. So what they did was to enroll me into these entrance coaching programs.
Okay.
So that was basically for the Kerala entrance, engineering colleges, government engineering colleges in Kerala. And it is from those training institutes, coaching institutes, I got to hear about IIT. So they had levels like IITs, NITs, state. So they ran aptitude tests, and somehow I qualified for their IIT program, and that is where my IIT coaching journey started.
What was the background of your parents? Were they in government service or?
No, my father was working in merchant navy. So he was working in ships, so for 10 months at a stretch. My mother was a postgraduate, but she was a housewife.
Okay. So which IITs did you get an option for?
Yeah, so in IIT, of course, you get a rank and you will give your choices, and you will be allocated one of them in the descending order of where your rank falls and where the right fit happens. So it's purely based on your rank more than your your wish list where you might end up. So my first priority was definitely IIT Madras, but of course I couldn't get into there with my rank, and so I got a course in IIT Kharagpur.
IIT Kharagpur. Okay. So what is the course that you did in IIT Kharagpur?
Yeah, so I did B.Tech, a 4-year honors in agricultural and food engineering.
Okay. So that is what you did there.
Yeah.
And after that, did you start working or you look for
After that, I had offers for work, but then I immediately chose to do an MBA program.
Immediately.
So I got admission in IIM Kozhikode, 2-year MBA.
Okay. So which ones that you had among IIMs or other institutes?
So I had offers from other IIMs, this tier 2 IIMs which were coming up at that point. But yeah, I preferred IIM Kozhikode because it was my home state, and it was among the top 5 at that point. So
That motivated you to get into IIT Kharagpur?
you mean IITs in general?
Yeah.
So like I said, I had never met anyone from an IIT till I went into the process. So of course, I think somewhere it's a coaching institute fellows who like pushed that thought into me. So of course they ran aptitude tests and they said I'm doing pretty well, you should try for IIT. And my parents as well, they were once they got to know this is the best available in the country, and you should always aim for that. So I think it's partly driven by why they are the best, and somehow by luck I came to know more about them, and I had again I had to give to the coaching center fellows who they really push that thought into you.
Which is a coaching center by any chance?
Brilliant Pala.
So we are asking that for the purpose of in case anyone is an aspirant and would like to. So you didn't take any test series, any?
I did take a test series. I took time test series, but it wasn't a classroom program. It's like
Okay. Just for the practice.
Just for practice.
So it was the first attempt that you got it?
Yes, it was.
First attempt that you got in. So he had options in few of the other IIMs also, but decided to go to IIM Kozhikode also because it is a home state. Now, when once you did your program, so generally what they say is even the B.Tech in IITs and even some of the, especially that is at least a 4-year program, but you said it's a honors program, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then they say that there was a lot of pressure in the IITs and the IIMs in terms of work pressure. So how did you cope up? What did you feel about it?
Yeah, actually, the work pressure is actually high. So getting in was only half the job. So, and again, we have toppers from all across the country. In the same class, we'll have 60 toppers in their respective schools. So definitely the competition is high. But then that is where you kind of isolate your passion from just pure academics, and you will have to really engage with what career you want to pursue. I had batchmates who like straight away they were good in their studies, but straight away started pursuing civil service.
Okay.
So they would study for like 6 hours every day. So there were people who wanted to do an MBA straight away. There were people who wanted to do masters in US in the same subject. Let us say in electronics, they will go and do an MS, PhD in US or anywhere good. So yeah, pressure, competition, everything is there, but you just identify your passion and you go with it.
So your passion was you wanted to do an MBA, and then did you find the pressure at IIMs slightly higher or lower or similar to what you?
It's a different kind of pressure in IIM. So IITs are basically science and technology institutes. IIMs are more about social science. It's about how we present ourselves, how we present an idea, how we interact with people, how we develop good cohesion. So IIMs are more about application. Like you go there and you speak and you even classes are based. It's entirely different. In IITs they just teach you theories. In IIMs it's about class participation. You will be given a problem statement and you have to discuss it in the class, convince others. So both are two different things.
So after the MBA you got placed, and now you are doing a PhD. So before that, how many years total you would have worked after your MBA?
So I worked for 7 years. So right after MBA, I was working as an analyst in ICRA, the credit rating agency. So I will go to firms, look at their operations, financials, and assign them a credit rating, which they will use for bank borrowings. And after 15 months in ICRA, I joined ICICI Bank. So I went to work for 3 years as a relationship manager, corporate relationship manager. So basically handling the corporate relationships, looking at their lending part. So basically anything a large corporate wants with the bank, which could be anything from loans, accounts, salary accounts, working capital. So I used to work with them for the bank. And then I worked for RBL Bank in the same profile. That was the time I moved back to Bangalore, and somewhere after COVID I kind of made up my mind that I should enroll in a PhD program. So I had my friends from my MBA time who gave me a fair bit idea about how a PhD program works, and that is when I decided.
So before one thing, in case of IITs or in case of IIMs, one of the reasons why it is most sought after is the placements. So we often hear about very fancy figures of placements. So in multiple crores also in sometimes in IITs and IIMs. But some people say it is very few people who get this multi-crore kind of offers, and those are dollar converted figures. So what would you like to share about these placements at IITs and IIMs from your real world experience?
Yeah, of course, if I could recall, starting from IITs, there were of course people who used to get these large packages, which is way above the median.
So what is the median salary there?
Median would be anywhere around 10, but of course there are people who get 1 crore, 2 crore packages.
Yeah.
But they are very few of them. So no company usually comes to a campus to offer a huge package.
Okay.
So this will be like these candidates would be like very promising for the kind of work the company is doing. That we are really talented, or there might be a specific requirement for their skill in the company. So such people would definitely fetch a very high package. But the ones who start at a lower salary, by no means that they will be restricted there. Of course, they will get opportunities to show their talent, and I know a lot of people who started very low are at a very good salary range.
Okay. As we were speaking about salaries, so yesterday I was checking the MBA current IIM Kozhikode median salaries were closer to 30 lakhs. So you passed out 10 years back. What would have been the median salary at that time? Around?
I'm not sure about the median, but yeah, the maximum salary would be at that time would be around the median currently.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it would have definitely moved up.
Okay. So if you look at if you are looking at the current scenario, that is 30 lakhs, because if you look at the MBA fees, right now in IIMB it is around 26 lakhs, and in IIM Kozhikode it is like 22 lakhs. So the year that you wrote CAT, how many people would have applied? Because many of you might not know that CAT is a very exam that he wrote. Like IIT JEE is one of the very toughest exams in the world. CAT is also a very tough exam, and there are very less number of seats. So which year it was? How many people would have written that year? Any idea?
Anywhere around 2 to 3 lakhs, I guess, would have
applicants.
appeared for CAT.
So in 2 to 3 lakhs appear for CAT, and IIM Kozhikode, how many were MBA seats were there?
At that point, 360 seats per year.
So you can see the selectivity, 360 seats per year, and the number of people who are writing are in the lakhs. So that is one of those, selectivity is one of the reasons why the companies are willing to pay so much, because they know that these people are coming through a filter. That is, they are coming from the best of institutes. Like for example, you would have, many of your batchmates would have been IIT, right? Yes. Maximum. So they are getting the best of the lot because they are coming through a filter system. They are coming, they are getting people from the best of institutes, and that is why companies can trust the process, and they can select these people because they are sure that these people can bring the best to their firms. So that means you had a very successful path, right? That is a B.Tech from one of the IITs and an MBA from one of the best IIMs. For example, the latest NIRF ranking last year and the year before, IIM Kozhikode was placed 3 in India. That is Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and instead of Calcutta, it was Kozhikode in the last 2 years in the NIRF ranking. So that means you were already in a very promising path, but suddenly you took a turn. So can you tell us what is the turn? You said that it was a PhD. What was it that motivated you to make that turn?
See, it's not very different from working in a corporate. So there also you will have your daily struggles. You will have to meet your targets. You have to fight off your competitors. So you work as hard in a PhD. The interesting element here is that, so of course we do research. We make a mark for ourselves. Like let us say if I publish in a very top journal, so that's there for eternity. So that's like I have traveled a path not traveled, and I've laid a marker down the road. So in business, in a professional life, I would be just moving on day by day. It can get repetitive at times. By no means research is not repetitive. I don't say that. It's a very difficult and boring activity at times. But then what attracted me is the longevity of the achievement.
Okay, so you felt that the PhD can make a long-term impact. But then when you decided on PhD as an option, what were the institutes that you considered?
Of course, since I'm already from an IIM, I wanted to go to an IIM for a PhD. Preferably Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Kozhikode. So since I was already in Bangalore at that point, I thought probably I can, do a PhD here without uprooting myself to another city. So And of course, IIM Bangalore had the best strategy department.
So he has joined for the strategy area. So if you, just to elaborate for the people who are listening, the PhD program are based on areas. So marketing, finance, HR, OB. So like that, for each area is you have to apply for an area. So he had, one thing would have been that he had already 7 years of experience. So somebody, generally they prefer to take people in strategy area with slight experience. So he would have some background and then he had applied for it, but mind you, the selectivity is very low. That means every year they might take around 15, 16. How many people that year when you joined?
In our year, it was 13, I guess.
Yeah, so just 13 people, just mind you, just 13 people that they select. So it's a very selective program, and among so many applicants, okay, thousands of applicants, they just select 13 people. But the PhD program, the difference is that you get a stipend, okay, so that's a paid program, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but then there is an opportunity cost. The opportunity cost is that if they were, because he's already having his degree and his MBA, instead of working, so it is a prime working age where he can get a lot of money. So though the PhD program has some advantages in terms of it being a fully paid program, so you don't have to pay fees, instead you will get a stipend. But so Anirudh, the good thing is that we got someone who has gone through the ranks, who has gone through good school and got into good institutions and reached till here. So actually you're on a very successful path. So we would like to motivate some of the students who would be listening to us. So what is it that you would like to tell the students who would like to be inspired?
So of course, I would suggest students to try to understand what is their area of interest. So it will take some introspection. It might take some trial and error, but eventually you will have to identify which is the field you want to work in, and then you have to ask yourself that question: do I have the skills and talent needed for that?
So how do you identify? So I have heard that there are some tests to identify what is your skill sets or what is your taste and all. Is there anything that you would like to suggest? Or?
Yeah, I will take the example of the JEE exam. So IITs are science and technology institutes. So speaking of which, they want students to be proficient in physics, chemistry, mathematics. That is why they have an entrance test with these 3 subjects as components. So the only people who will get in will be by default proficient
in these subjects.
In these subjects. So that level of understanding, for example, somebody who is interested in theatrics, so they would participate in something, right, at school level, at district level, state level, some kind of an event they would be practicing, and they would realize their potential. They will get feedback.
So what you are essentially saying is that it should be based on the taste and something which they are good at, and they should try to expand on that. What about schooling? What about reading and all those kind of things? What do you feel? What should the parents do?
One thing you can do is develop rational thinking at a very young age. So that makes your goals very clear. What do you want? So what do you want in life is a much larger question. That will take some time to get evolved. Some people reach there quicker than others, but developing rational thinking is very important.
Okay.
So let us say you keep a target and you fail to reach it. Through rational thinking, you will identify the reasons behind it. Why am I not reaching there? What I can do to improve myself? Or is it something which I can't bring in? The deficit is something which beyond my capabilities. That is where you realize, right?
So nowadays parents also, there is a lot of pressure on them, and they in turn try to put a lot of pressure on their children, because they also want the children to be successful. So what do you say about this? Because you also
so of course success has a lot of criteria. So YouTube vlogging, nobody would have been taught this as a school child or career option. Like I'm a 90 born, so this is a very recent phenomena.
Yeah.
So we are completely alien to this while we are at school. So I would suggest, of course, parents could parents will have a lot of hopes on the child's future. They will want to secure it, so which is why.
So as an aspirant, what should someone do to get into an IIT?
So like I said, IIT entrance exam has 3 components: physics, chemistry, and mathematics. So developing proficiency in 3 subjects is very important. Most importantly, somebody should have a very good theoretical understanding of this concepts. So maths, for example, is not very theoretical. It's formulaic. But let us say something like physics, you need to have very good theoretical understanding. So in the entrance exam, you will be asked MCQ questions, multiple choice questions, where we would have like 4 or 5 options, and you select the correct answer, for which you get for the correct answer you will get 3 marks. I'm not entirely sure how it is, right?
Yeah.
There will be negative marking as well if you. So it's important to have a very good foundation of these 3 subjects, at least from 8th standard. That is where I guess we will have the segregation of science into physics, chemistry, mathematics. So from there we should have a good understanding and try to have a physical representation of these things. Don't problem based. You should have a good understanding what is velocity, what is displacement, what is acceleration. Those eventually, if you're going to become an engineer, those things will help you design your thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now from B.Tech, now when we come to CAT and MBA options, how do one get into those kind of options? What do they need to do?
MBA is completely different from how we approach the situation as in would do. It's basically people management. A simple example I can give is, let us say if one person takes 10 hours to do a job, then we would naturally assume that 2 people will take 5 hours to do that job. Yeah, that's very far from the realistic situation. That is where people management becomes very important. Understanding under what conditions they work well. If it's very synergistic, then 2 people could finish it in 2 hours. So that is where technology doesn't tell us how people behave, how they behave in groups, how they behave in cells.
So the softer aspects.
Yes. So it's basically, you integrate your previous knowledge, whatever journey you have had till that MBA, and MBA gives you a wrap around it. You can dynamically use your knowledge to solve problematic situations.
So just for the listeners, you might have heard of hard skills and then soft skills too. So this is a combination that is ideally, but then many people, as you said, who are after their B.Tech or after their MBA, they also look for civil service option. Why you never thought in that direction? Any reason?
I'm not really sure. Probably I didn't have the affinity. So I always wanted to see what happens in the business world. Coming from a very rural village background, I never had the first time I lived in the city is when I went to work there.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So I always had that,
No, but this is a very important message in the sense that, see, we have to realize that people who are coming from very rural village kind of a background, if you feel that overwhelmed by the name IIT or IIM, that is not the case. Anybody from any background, if they have the necessary content in them, the necessary willingness and willing to put in the necessary effort, they can do it. So Anirudh is a real world example that we have been. Thank you, Anirudh, so much for joining us and sharing from your student perspective, because it is very difficult to get a live example just like that, and then for him to share all these things. So thank you very much for taking time to share all this. But is there anything more that you think would help the people who are listening, that common people, it will be very useful for them?
Yeah, one message I would like to give the students who are currently preparing. So it's just stay consistent. You have to look at something multiple times, day after day, to form a very good idea about it. So of course teaching a day, learning a day before an exam will not really help. You will have to look at it and make a habit of doing it develop consistent habits, capabilities, and that is, from my experience, that is one thing I've seen in the successful people I've met. They have very strong routines, whatever be it. And once you develop very good habits, it's doesn't matter if you if you can't get it on IIT, can't get it on IIM. It doesn't really matter.
That's not the end of the day. That's what he means to say. Yeah.
So one thing appearing for these exams helps you is prepare. You will, increase your own potential to, understand the world better, and you can apply it somewhere.
Like even if you aim for the star, even if in case you don't reach the star, you will reach somewhere close by. So the preparation any time will help you. So any time will help you increase your potential, increase your level. So thank you, Anirudh, once again.